For the last 10 years or so, we had lived in the country, deep in the country, about 30 minutes from town, and definitely a solid hour from any kind of hospital, any kind of real emergency medical services. And in that time, we had learned through many situations that we needed to have alternative medical care for ourselves in the case of an emergency. Now, a disclaimer, I am not suggesting that you do any of these things. I'm just saying what we have done. Number one, cayenne pepper. When our first son was born, he was circumcised on the 8th day. Now, he had an issue where every time we would take the diaper off, the diaper would pull off the bandage with it. And we didn't know that you should Vaseline the front of the diaper really, really well so that it doesn't grab the gauze. We didn't know that. And so it kept on pulling the bandage off of the little circumcision area, and it kept on opening up that scab and bleeding. And he had actually bled quite a bit. It just wasn't clotting very well. So what we did was take cayenne pepper and put it directly on the wound. Something about the cayenne pepper helps to constrict the blood vessels, I think is what it is. You'll have to look it up to double check me on that, but it did stop the bleeding pretty immediately upon contact. Number two, anti-shock drink. Now, I'm not saying that this is actually going to help with shock. I wasn't actually in shock when somebody gave it to me. This was a preventative measure to keep me hopefully from going into shock. And this was given to me by my midwife when I gave birth to my 4th child. I had what was called a retained placenta, where my uterus was not doing any contractions at all after I delivered my daughter. And so the midwife had to go in and manually retrieve the placenta, which was the most excruciating pain I had ever been in my entire life, including childbirth. And so she had given me this anti-shock drink, and I'll read you the ingredients right now. It is 8 ounces of water, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of honey, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Now, I don't know how all of that works. I never ended up researching it. I just remember powering it down. Good old cayenne pepper comes into play again. And, I was okay. I'll also have that recipe down in the description box below, so check that out if you're interested. Maybe just put it on a recipe card to have, not to use or anything, because we're not suggesting that you use it, because that would get me in trouble, I think. Don't do any of these things. I am not recommending them. Okay, number 3, potato poultice. This isn't necessarily for an emergency, but I do know somebody who literally, he went to Uganda, and I'm gonna use language that sounds like I'm invalidating what happened, but only for the sake of protecting the video from YouTube land. He claims that he helped to heal gangrene from somebody's leg using a potato poultice deep in a very remote village of Uganda. Now, this person we know very, very well, and he and his family have gone to Uganda. Specifically him has gone to Uganda multiple times, and because of his experience as a nurse for many, many years, he's actually the one we always go to whenever we have a medical issue. He found that there was a village member there who had a very horrible case of gangrene on their foot, and had the gangrene continued to develop, he possibly would have lost his foot as well as passed away. And the thing that my friend, the nurse, did was take a potato, and basically you just grate the potato, put the potato directly on the site, and wrap it, and let the potato draw out whatever it is. So I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not saying it's possible. I'm not saying it happened. I'm just saying my friend claims, and my friend is very credible. So, but what we've used it for is taking, my son had a huge, almost looked like a horn developing on his head. It was this huge bump. Turns out he's got extremely sensitive skin. I think it was just a bug bite, but it was like taking over his forehead. And I put grated up potato, put it on his forehead, and covered it up, and within a couple hours, it was completely back to normal. My daughter also had a blood blister on her thumb back when she sucked her thumb a whole lot, created this huge blood blister, and again, my friend the nurse, his wife, who is my very close friend, grated potato, put it on, and within a couple hours, the blood blister had popped open and all of that stuff had drained right out. So it's worth considering if you have some kind of a skin issue and you need to draw something out, a potato poultice. And poultice sounds like a very witchy thing. I always thought like poultice, what is that? But a poultice, basically a potato poultice at least, and a ginger poultice are just when you take the food item and you grate it up and you apply it. That's it. Number 4, owie oil. It is an essential oil, a blend of oils, and they call it owie oil. And my daughter crashed into another little boy. His chin hit her right on that sensitive cheekbone right below her eye, and it swelled up and it got a huge bruise. My other friend, who's really into oils, ran and got the owie oil. We applied it, and literally before our eyes, the bruise got sucked away. I have never seen anything like it, and we've used it since then, and I haven't seen anything like it since. So I'm not sure exactly why that worked the way that it did at that one particular time. It also helped to heal that goose egg that was on her face really, really quickly. And that didn't get sucked back in, but my friend has said she's seen goose eggs just go right back. And so instantly, it was miraculous. It was very, very, and we haven't seen it again since, and we've had a lot of bumps and bruises since then. Number 5, breast milk. We have used breast milk for eye infections. I know you can use it also for skin irritations, but some of my babies have had what my grandmother calls a cold in the eye, and it's basically an eye infection, and we have put breast milk directly into their eyes, and it looks terrifying at first because the whole eye becomes cloudy. It looks very weird and scary, but it helps to clear up that eye infection really, really fast. Now also, my sons had what is called impetigo, which is a very contagious bacterial skin infection. I didn't even think about applying breast milk to it, but when I went to my pediatrician to get it cleared up, he was like, "Oh, you could have done breast milk. Yeah, that's great for everything." So that is something to consider as well. If you can get your hand on some breasts that are milking, that is probably the worst way to see that. Number 6, drinking urine. Just kidding. Number 7, flu bomb or garlic pills. My friend, the wife of the nurse, has a recipe called the flu bomb. I will link it below. It is amazing, and it has cleared up that in conjunction with cutting up garlic cloves into quarters or maybe sixths, and swallowing those one at a time, kind of like a supplement. The flu bomb plus the garlic pills, quote unquote, healed me of a very serious bacterial infection, very contagious, very serious bacterial infection, and it was awesome. And I later actually it doesn't matter. Later I was tested for that bacterial infection that I had, and it was completely gone. I cannot recommend the flu bomb and the garlic also in conjunction with it enough. It is amazing. Do I do it all the time when I'm sick? No, because I don't like it. And I also am too lazy to make it when I'm feeling sick. I just end up being miserable. So that's me, but I would recommend it. And so I'm going to link her video down below, and please do check it out if you're interested. Number 8, Bieler broth. It is nasty. I don't recommend it, but my husband did drink it when he had pancreatitis, and he needed to have very, very anti-inflammatory liquids to consume while he was seriously suffering with a bad case of pancreatitis and I think gallstones at the same time. Number 9, clove essential oil. My husband used that for a very, very painful tooth infection. And it did help him. I asked him when I made this list, you know, did you feel like that worked well for you? And he was like, yeah, it did help with the pain. And this was because I think he had a really bad tooth infection over the weekend and we couldn't get to a dentist. And so he ended up putting clove oil on a cotton ball and sticking that against his sore tooth, and that helped so much. Now, I have heard if you do that too much, it could actually kill the nerve, which maybe you want that. I don't know. That sounds probably not a good plan, but that is something to consider. And finally, number 10 is Epsom salt. I burned the dickens out of my leg with boiling chicken broth. I had a cast iron pan covered with tinfoil so I couldn't see inside, of chicken that I had on top of the stove that was boiling, and I had forgotten that I had been boiling it with a good amount of chicken broth. So when I went to take it from the top of the stove and stick it into the oven to keep it warm, all of that chicken broth that was in there went all down my leg. Now, I did what you should not do, and what did I put on it? I put some kind of oil on it. Oh, I put my friend calls it bum balm, baby bum balm. It is the most amazing, same friend as the flu balm, who's married to the nurse, the gangrene potato poultice nurse. She makes an amazing salve. It is my number one favorite. I put that salve directly on the burn. Bad mistake. You don't want to put oil on a burn because it holds the heat in. I had to take Dawn dish soap, wash off the burn to wash it off and let that heat out. And then she took Epsom salt, put it in some water, basically to the point where you couldn't put any more Epsom salt in, like a lot of Epsom salt, put it in the water. And then I had a cloth over my leg that she brought, and she just kept on having me spray the cloth down and just keep that cloth against my skin, keep it nice and wet, and to help have that burn just be soothed by the Epsom salt water. She said that the Epsom salt is actually better at healing burns than lavender essential oil. Now, the guests who had come over had seen my leg. They saw how bad it was, and they were like, oh, it is going to blister badly. And it did blister, and when I showed them the progress of it healing over the next week or two, they were shocked at how well it did. They were like, oh, for sure, it's gonna be so much worse. They were shocked. And so that's just a big testimony to Epsom salt for burns, at least for me with my chicken broth leg. So that is it. 10 different natural remedies that I personally have used just for myself, not recommending it to you necessarily, over the years when I couldn't get to emergency services. Now, if you do any of these things, do it at your own risk. You are in charge of you, but it's something to look into.